Yo, what we saying, people? Today we are going to be taking a look at these plants here. These are anthuriums, specifically the veitchii and the claravinium. We're going to be taking a look at how to care for your plants in your home, and in this video we'll be covering things like light requirements, watering, fertilizing, general maintenance of the plant as well. Right, so this is probably one of the most recognizable anthuriums. It's got these gorgeous heart-shaped leaves with the deep green foliage, the light green veining. It's fucking beautiful. But how do you care for them? When it comes to how do I care for the plants, I like to think of them in their natural habitat. So do me a favor, close your eyes. Right, I want you to picture a rainforest. So in a rainforest, you look up, there's the canopy of the trees high above in the sky that's blocking out all that harsh sunlight. It's raining, everything's wet, it's hot, it's humid. You've got vining plants that are climbing, desperately seeking out any sunlight. Now the floor's covered in leaf litter and microorganisms just decomposing leaves and returning nutrients back into that soil. Alright, so eyes open again. That sounds like fucking hell, right? Hot, humid and wet. Fuck that. However, you decided to become a plant parent, so you need to mimic that environment. So picture that canopy above the forest, blocking out all the light to the floor. But that's okay, because our anthurium isn't growing on the floor, it's growing on the understory, which is sort of halfway down. Got 3 layers of rainforest: canopy, understory and floor. Our anthuriums are growing here, along with loads of other tropical plants and smaller trees and ferns and stuff like that. But that's where it's getting its sunlight from. There is a lot of blocked sunlight from up here, and it's just getting indirect sunlight. So that sunlight is never sitting on its leaves for too long. So we want indirect sunlight for our anthurium. And that's easy. You can find a bright window and either have some sort of shade blocking it, or just putting up a blind, anything that's going to dapple that sunlight from sitting on a leaf for too long. Now, if you happen to live in a place where you don't have a nice bright window that you can, put a sheer blind down, there is option B. Grow lights are a thing. They're not overly expensive to run or to buy, and if benefits for your plant, it's probably worth investing a little bit into some good quality grow lights. Okay, let's picture that rainforest again. So we know it's going to be hot, it's humid. Rainforest is in the name, rain and forest. Greenhouses or indoor cabinets are going to be really handy to replicate that humidity without a humidifier. If you were to ask anyone in the UK, they'll tell you it's fucking humid here. So humidity isn't something that I've really had to concern myself with. This cabinet is currently at 88% with the doors open. I take advantage of this with not having a humidifier, but you can take advantage of getting extra humidity by grouping plants together, using trays with pebbles and water in there just to get a bit more humidity in the air. So remember the 2 key words in the rainforest: rain and forest. They like them wet. Speaking of wet, how often should you be watering your anthuriums? Now, people might tell you different things. This is my opinion, and this is what works well for my plants in this specific environment. Your environment is different to mine. Your zoning is different to mine. Your house is different to mine. In my house, I am watering these once a week, roughly. Not exactly, but within 6 to 8 days, they're getting another watering. And it's just topping off that soil, keeping it slightly moist, but not wet. Which brings us very nicely onto soil mix. Now, when it comes to anthuriums, the chunkier, the better. Anthuriums have really, really thick noodle-like roots, and they want that chunk to be able to get oxygen from the pockets that it creates. So a great benefit to chunky soil is also water is able to drain away really easily to avoid dreaded root rot. Now, if you haven't got any chunky mix, you run the risk of that frequent watering with your anthuriums clogging up the soil and sort of choking and suffocating the roots. Keep it light, keep it airy, okay? Since we've covered watering, let's cover fertilizer. How often should you be feeding your houseplants? Now, people will differ, their opinions are different. Me personally, I like to use a weaker solution with every feed. If something tells me to stick 2 ml into every 1,000 ml of water to feed my plants, I'm going to stick in 1 ml every 1,000 ml of water and use it every time rather than every month or every 6 weeks or every 2 weeks or every other feed. That's just how I like to do it. You can follow instructions from the bottle. You can make up your own mind. You're adults. You can figure this shit out. It's fine. All right, finally is pruning. Now, pruning is quite an easy one. If the leaves start to yellow, it's time to chop it off. There is no point keeping leaves that aren't working for the plant. You're doing the plant a favor by chopping it off. Now, important thing to remember with all plants is the bottom leaves. They're the ones that are usually the smallest, but they're the ones that are also going to be the first to yellow. As the plant grows up, it doesn't really need that leaf anymore, so it'll say goodbye to it in its own little way. Repotting anthuriums is a different matter. Anthuriums are very, very slow growers, so repotting isn't needed very often. Keep an eye on the roots. Now, if you've got them in a nursery pot with lots of holes at the bottom, you might find it's beneficial just to every once in a while lift it up and have a look. If you see a lot of roots starting to come through, it's time for a repot. Now, if you're keeping your anthuriums in terracotta like I am, that's a bit more difficult. You've only got the one drainage hole at the bottom. Not quite as easy to see. You can't squeeze to feel how restricted it is. So what do? I go digging. I get my hands dirty, move some soil away. If I can see a load of roots coming towards the surface, you know, below 1 inch or so in that pot, then I think, okay, that's time for a repot. And we size up and we put it in and we make it happy again. And you do very well, don't you? Yes, you do. I might not keep that in. Well done you made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, it's really appreciated. If you found any information useful or you just want to see more of this weirdness, then please feel free to subscribe. Love you lots, bye.